to remodel it after the old English guy that reads Harry Potter on TV.
Joseph was a simple boy, or at least that's what his mother would always say. Joseph, as everyone knew, was an idiot. Whenever one thinks of a thought and then thinks, that thought was a particularly crazy thing to think, it is those thoughts that Joseph thinks of all the time. Whenever one does something considered particularly dumb, one learns not to repeat this dumb thing, where Joseph does not. Tuesday, 2:47 in the afternoon, age 4. Joseph encounters a very prickly plant thing, mistaking it for a very prickly food thing. That prickly thing hurt to eat, said Joseph, aloud. And so did the next, and the 6th. Monday, 8:13 in the morning, age 7. Joseph sees a big, sweaty wrestling man on television. He sees him jump on an even sweatier wrestling man from quite high. 8:15. Joseph finds the bathroom counter more than high enough to jump on his bathtub mother. To his credit, she was getting rather prude. Friday, 12:12, afternoon, age 9. Joseph mistakes his hands for spiders and cries for 4 hours straight. Age 10. Joseph says the word yes when truly meaning no for 3 weeks, inadvertently causing him the label of racist and the unintentional kissings of 4 girls and 1 boy. Age 11. Joseph punches a policeman in the face for speaking with his eyes open. Age 12. Joseph claps his hands and soils himself in fright at the resulting sound. There was no logic to his doings, as Joseph learned what it means to do things from his parents, and Joseph's parents were idiots too. His father, a pink, portly man with hair in all the wrong places, would say things like awesome or bacon. When asked questions like, what do you think of boobs? Or if you had to say something other than awesome, what would you say? His mother, a 3 3/4 inch shorter version of his father, was distinguishable only by a slightly more prominent chest and an affinity for lipstick as an all-purpose makeup appliance. Lip eyes, lip cheeks, lip lips. Her favorite word was meow, like a kitten. It was this day, Joseph's 13th birthday, that Joseph had been waiting for every day since his last birthday. For this day, like all days, of all the days in the year, was Joseph's day to make a wish. Every year since age 3, Joseph had wished for one thing and one thing only, to think something smart. At age 1 and 2, his wish was simply the word pants. But he knew what he meant. It was this day that Joseph would make his wish again, and it was the day that Joseph's wish would come true. Mother, said Joseph to his father in the kitchen.
Yes, my boy,
replied his father, rubbing his chest in a welcoming way. I love the way squirrels run, and it's my birthday, said Joseph with his feet inexplicably far apart. Ah, yes, cake, screamed his father, then whispering, do you mind if I have a piece of your cake, boy? My mouth has been aching for cake all night. A glint in his eye. But father, it's morning, Joseph responded, forgetting to stand and falling to the ground. I stayed up all night, so it's still night for me, my boy, he replied impressively. My job don't break a table back panter lamb, he added like the idiot he was. My cake isn't here, and if it is, I can't see it. Is it magic? Is it in heaven with mother? Said Joseph. His mother was quite alive, but as we all know, Joseph was exceptionally stupid. Crash! A car, his mother's car, through the living room wall. Awesome! Cried Joseph's father. The driver door opened very slowly as Joseph's mother jumped out in delayed surprise. Damn, 5th time this year, she exclaimed, blowing dust from her arms and chest inefficiently. It had really been 13 times, but everything after 5 was still 5 with Joseph's mother. Joseph, I have cake. She did. I was at the store. She was. Joseph raised his hands over his head in excitement. Can you remember my birthday today? He phrased awkwardly. She couldn't, for her brain was bleeding on the inside of her head. She laid on the ground as she often did after a car accident. Joseph, she breathed, looking at her only son. I feel like I'm dying today. Or at least, right now. Don't Don't be ridiculous, shouted Joseph's father, then whispering, you can never die. Everyone knows that women can't die. But everyone knew Joseph's father was just being nice. Women died all the time, and they all knew it. Joseph also knew something else. He had not yet made his birthday wish. His mother lay on the ground humming to herself, as she always did whilst experiencing the most excruciating pain. Unable to hide his fear, Joseph's father rubbed his hands against his chest in a nervous way. Mother, Joseph called his mother. Mother, I don't know what I'd do without you. This was quite true. His mother had always been there to teach him when to replace numbers with smiley faces, to brush his hair before meals, to hug him when he'd been in the rain which had always scared him so. Joseph thought of the birthday candles he'd always kept in his pocket. He reached his hand in and rolled them over in his fingers. He always felt smarter when he did this. Joseph looked up at his father. Father, he asked. His father looked shocked, for Joseph rarely called him this. Father, I need the cake. His father stared lovingly into his eyes, his hands rubbing his chest softly. No, son, he assured him. You never needed the cake. The cake was inside you all along. And I ate it. Joseph felt like punching his father in the face where he was talking to him with his eyes open. But he suppressed this urge and hugged him instead. His mother, still humming in agony on the ground, peered up quite calmly and said, Aren't you going to make a wish, Joseph? I'll be dead any second. Joseph began to cry. He knew that if he wished to think something smart, he wouldn't be able to make a mother-saving wish until next year. And surely she'd be dead by then. How much longer was a year than a second? Joseph stood there, thinking, shaking his head. Okay, he said immediately. Joseph pulled 13 candles from his pocket and placed them in his mother's mouth. His father, who had always taken his job of lighting the candles very seriously, recognized his annual cue and pulled a lighter from his pocket. Kneeling beside his son, he lit the candles. Ah, fire. Excellent, stated Joseph's father. Joseph stared into the miniature flames one by one. He longed for this moment, and here he was. Another year, another wish. Before he knew it, he was saying it. I wish to think something smart. All the air had left his lungs. The candles were out. The wish was made. His father looked at him tentatively. He spoke. Well? There was a pause in which no one spoke but the narrator. Then Joseph's father spoke again. What did you think? Joseph stared out into the audience, attempting to look at no one in particular. But the words wouldn't come. Then it hit him, like he had hit so many people who've spoken to him overnight. He wiped the tears from his face in realization. I'm an idiot. Joseph began to cry once more, his face in his hands. His father gasped, Joseph! There are spiders! Spiders on your face! No, said Joseph simply and smartly. No, they're not spiders. They're hands. He held them up high, the better to see them. They're just hands. They were always